Boy, really coming out with a bang today, huh?
This was a request from Wifey. Wifey wanted to hear The Scientist by Coldplay.
We come into the show and energy and the Magic win last night, and we're doing this to start.
Wow. You're ripping Wifey's request.
No,
wow.
A little bit of a
wow.
buzzkill.
Wow.
What's the theme today?
So today's theme.
What next? Fast Car by Tracy Chapman? What? Songs to keep the sharp object away?
Songs or artists with
greatest buzzkill songs? What?
Songs or artists with a job or profession in the title.
Oh.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Way to rip on my wife.
Your lovely wife. It's not a bad song. Just, maybe timing. It's a little, actually, I don't blame your wife. I blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to make a decision as the guy that presses the buttons in there about the energy, tempo, and pace, everything,
That was great.
You know what you just did?
What did I do?
We had a 3-on-none and you pulled the ball back out.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Instead of a 360 windmill dunk, you're like, you know what? Let's let him sit up in the half court. Yeah, I don't want to keep the crowd jacked up. Let's bring it down a little bit here. What you just did is you told Jamal Cain, slow down. Don't risk a turnover on the dunk. That's what you just did right there. Crowd's all jacked up. Like, no, bring it back out. Bring it back out. Yeah, bring it back out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what you did.
All right. So next segment, we need upbeat for Mark.
It's your call. But based on that, you didn't want this to happen last night.
Okay. Turn the corner.
Hey, pull it back out, okay? Let's not do something like that to get the crowd excited, huh? That it? My goodness gracious.
Wow. Wow.
90-48, the Magic went to the Pistons last night to go 3-1 in the series.
As you redefine what
sorry. That was me.
Amateur hour here.
You're just catching on? Yeah. 3-1 in the series, and we'll do a deep dive into last night. Josh Robbins is going to join us, barring something big that doesn't break. We'll get Josh's thoughts in the game last night with the Magic victory. And I think the Pistons know that the Magic are better. Right now, they know that the Magic are better. And I don't think Detroit's winning 3 games in a row. In fact, I'm not quite sure they win tomorrow, but pretty big night for the Magic. And I told Kelly this, and look, it's a different world. It's a different Orlando. But the great thing about sports, okay, it is a unifier, okay? Not for everybody, but it is a unifier in many ways. And it's a cool thing when your town does wrap their arms around a team and you get a little playoff run, which in this town we haven't had in a long time. And you feel as if you got a little buzz happening again, when you start to see people, you're out and about, grab a bite to eat, and all of a sudden, about the Magic and stuff like that. Been a long time, man. Like I was telling Kelly on the bridge earlier, the early days of just having a team was great. And then Shaq and Penny comes along, and it happens so quickly, and all of a sudden you're among the NBA's rock stars. And those early playoff runs, they were magical, man. It's a different world. Just the access to games was now with the constant access and information. It's different, but when you get it going, it rallies the city, man, and the Magic crowd's been a factor the last 2 games, and they win. So we'll do a deep dive into everything coming up. I mean, it was an atrocious offensive game. I mean, there's no way you get around it. But if you win, it's fine. So we'll get to that and much more. What are you wearing today? Is that a flamingo shirt?
Yeah.
Huh.
I've worn it before. I've worn it once.
You have?
Yeah.
And I didn't make fun of you then?
Nope.
No. Today's a new day.
Oh.
But it looks good on you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know?
I like to see you pull off flamingos.
Well, there's like you could wear that shirt in Florida. You could wear that shirt in the weekend, casual and everything. You know,
I sit behind a board. I push buttons. I'm now on camera.
you buy that shirt.
I did.
You didn't come like get something and get that free.
No.
No,
No.
you chose that, huh?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I almost got a second one.
Like I said, it looks good on you. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it.
Thank you.
You know,
Appreciate it.
to me, I think you wear that when mid-70s, hanging out at the country club pool. People call you uncle. You know?
They don't call me Unc,
Yeah.
just Uncle.
Got a cigar. You're not supposed to smoke. You sit down. You know?
Never smoked a cigar.
I used to, but not anymore.
Well, do black and milds count? I used to smoke black and milds.
Yeah. I mean, if you're inhaling and there's some form of in and out, you know, but it's okay.
Okay.
All right. We got a lot of stuff with the Magic to get to. We got a little controversy in college football. This is going to get interesting, that story. And believe me, they knew what was coming out. Okay. That wasn't a, hey, let's just tell you what's happening. They knew what was coming out with Brandon Sorsby at Texas Tech and getting ahead of it. But this is going to be an interesting story. We got a lot of stuff, like I said, to tackle, but we kick off with everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CV's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
Mark, I'm so excited for this joke. I'm so excited. Are you ready?
Yeah, hit me.
What is Casper's favorite Mexican food?
I don't know, Chris. What is Casper's favorite Mexican food?
That would be a burrito. Burrito. That's so good.
Wow. Wow. Okay. What do we got?
Astronaut in the Ocean.
By?
Master Wolf. Is this more upbeat for you?
Better.
Slow motion. I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Okay. I don't need you now because today's Double Shot Tuesday theme. These are songs with a job title.
Songs or if you have an artist.
Songs with a job or profession in the title.
Yes. Songs or artists.
Right. What do you mean artist?
If there's an artist. The Police.
Oh. Okay, I guess you can do that. I thought you were just talking about in the title. All right. 50857 on the text line for Double Shot Tuesday today. Last night, the Magic go up 3-1 in the series against the Detroit Pistons. I said on the bridge with Kelly, I just said before on the first segment with Chris, and you're listening on FM 96.9, FM 740 AM. If you're listening on a podcast, you can do that as well, and you can watch our video stream. Go to our YouTube page, 96 in the Game Orlando. Click on the logo and the live button. You can watch the stream. And access also on Twitter, 96 on Game On for the stream. The Pistons, in my view, know the Magic right now are better. They know. And sometimes, for example, I don't know if the Knicks are going to beat the Hawks. When the Knicks went down 2-1 in the series, I still think the Knicks believed they're better than Atlanta. And they won comfortably in Game 4. If they win Game 5 tonight, I think the Knicks will win the series. The Pistons, I don't think believe that they're better than the Magic right now. The 60 games they won in the regular season, they earned the number 1 seed. And it is crazy to think that the same team that played that game in Boston for the Magic, with what was at stake, is now up 3-1 on the Pistons. I think Detroit knows that tomorrow's game is really brutal. I think Orlando can close the series out tomorrow. You go, well, that's really wishful thinking. Detroit goes back home. Don't you remember what happened in game number 2? I do. It was an awful third quarter. But I also know the body of work after 4 games, a growing sample size. There are things that Detroit is going to have a hard time getting better at. Jalen Duren is not going to become a big factor in the series. He won't. Orlando and the ability of double teaming at times has made him irrelevant. The defense on Cade Cunningham, particularly by Jamal Cain in the second half last night, it's making him have to take more shots. He's not as efficient offensively. There's not another secondary scorer for Detroit, even though Tobias Harris at 20, that's making their life easy. They're giving up offensive rebounds for the Magic. They're getting bullied. The playoffs make it more of a half-court game. It is much more the choice of the Magic style. Where's this defense been? It doesn't matter. It doesn't. All of our moaning and griping and complaining for 83 games, again, doesn't matter right now. Orlando's defense at times has been suffocating on Detroit. Again, Jalen Suggs last night is 1 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 11 from the three-point line. He was plus 17. As did Franz Wagner and Wendell Carter, plus 17. The offensive performance for the Magic, if I tell you before the game, hey, let me give you some numbers. The Magic are going to shoot 33%. They're going to be 26% from the three-point line, and they'll miss 9 free throws. What do you think happens? And I answer, I'm watching hockey in the fourth period because why would I want to watch? That was Orlando's numbers. Paddle's 4 of 18. Jalen Suggs is 1 for 13. Franz, and we'll see about the calf injury today, and let's hope there's nothing serious there. Had 19. He was 7 of 15. Desmond Bane had 5 threes in the game again. But the other side for Detroit, 20 turnovers. They gave up 16 offensive rebounds. They shot 38%. They were 6 of 30 from 3. They were held to 36 points in the second half. Cade Cunningham, fourth quarter, was irrelevant. Shut down. And you talk about physicality, and we joked yesterday that Scott Foster, the extender, was doing the game, and it didn't help if you were a Detroit fan. Look in that fourth quarter. Chris, I don't know if you were watching, but in the fourth quarter, particularly on the one Magic possession late, the stuff that the refs let go, I mean, you had guys with hatchets and swords and shanks just scratching and and let him play, which the Magic are fine with that. Just fine. Here's how bad it was at times in that game. And I saw this tweet. Somebody else did the research. But, Chris, in the last 4 minutes and 50 seconds, the two teams combined to go 2 of 18. The two teams, okay? The 2 field goals made was the Desmond Bane bank 3 to put the Magic up 92-86. The last field goal was Isaiah Stewart's putback in the final seconds, so the Magic just gave the basket. Otherwise, the two teams were 0 for 16 in the final 5 minutes. That's how bad at times it was. But the Magic don't mind if you're going to kind of muck it up. Detroit, I think, just knows that this is a tough spot, man. It's a tough spot. It's a style that fits the Magic. Now, there's going to come another moment, and if you're a Magic fan, like I said earlier, you hope it's in the next round because it means you advance, that you're going to have to make shots, okay? You can't survive another 7-game series playing 7 games like last night, but it's a totally different vibe. It's a different mindset. It's a team that now has confidence. It's a repeated thing I've said before. The first 83 games no longer matters because now you look and you want to finish them off tomorrow because Toronto, Cleveland may go 7. And if the Magic win tomorrow, what Magic fan doesn't look at the next round and go, sure, fine. But crowd was great last night and just smothering defense in the second half by Orlando. Frustrated Detroit team. And turnovers come in a variety of ways. From as basic as you throw a ball away, ball goes off your foot or to bounds, but a lot of turnovers happen because in the playoffs, and last night it was the case in the second half, defense is really good. Passing lanes are gone. You think something's there, it's not. And yeah, again, the Magic had a lead, saw that lead basically disappear, but made enough plays down the stretch, and you get a final 5 minutes like that. 10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. And Jamal Mosley last night about the job that the crowd played in Orlando's victory over the Pistons and the defense by his basketball team, and just early on what it meant for him.
This win in this fashion, how special of a defensive performance was it?
I'm going to shout out our crowd again. This place is rocking. Our fans are just absolutely incredible. I mean, that's definitely 6 men in that one. But our defensive effort, our defensive energy, the focus level, I thought we did a great job there. Now, obviously, down the stretch, we got to continue to do a better job of defending without fouling. But our guys did a really good job of not letting the shots impact the way that we guarded.
Body language is always big to me. He's got a little bit of swagger back too. And I don't care how tough you think people are supposed to be because you think they get paid X, but we're human, man. We're human. Jamal Mosley's got ears. He knows what the narrative's been for the last few months, right, Chris? I don't care how immune you think people are like, oh, they don't watch that, they don't read that, they don't pay attention to it. I don't think he's scrolling through Twitter after losses to go, hey, that Boston game, let me check the phone on the flight back. Is the Wi-Fi working? I want to see what people think about our performance. No, but you're human.
Yeah.
And all the stuff about, hey, job's not finished. He's right. And you could go back, and Mike Bianchi wrote about it today. If you're a Magic fan, you remember in 03. They're up 3-1 against Detroit and lost. Got to get the job done. But I think he feels like this is the team. This is the team that I thought we're going to have all year. Jamal Cain on the dunk.
Just make the dunk. But my whole job tonight was to try and make K's life difficult. It was a great dunk, but that was my main focus this whole game.
It reminded me, Chris, Eddie Scott was I think he was 9 years old, and at Banyan Elementary School in the back playground area, they had the 7-foot rims, and I think I duplicated what Kane did. I think in 1979. I was 12. I think he was 9 or something.
Look at you dunking on a 9-year-old.
Players dream of moments like that. And we'll never know the feeling, because in a fraternity of NBA players, when you make a dunk like that, that one resonates. Where other elite players are like, and Jalen Duren's career is going to be okay. He's going to hear it when this series is over if the Pistons don't rally, because he's been irrelevant, taken out of it by the Magic. And that dunk, man.
Yeah, not only will he live with it the rest of the series, it's the rest of his career and beyond.
Yeah, but you could win championships and then laugh about it. I'm just saying, at the moment right now, he's not played well for 4 games, and then that's added to the body of work of the 4 games, and it added to the night that Kane has. And it's a great story. He grows up in Detroit. He's a Pistons fan. I mean, he loves the Pistons, and here he is with the moment. And, he went back to start the series, and they were there, and he's going back again tomorrow. And Franz Wagner goes down, and you kind of wonder what's the ripple effect. And Kane was awesome. He was awesome. His defense on Cade Cunningham was elite. Hit that big 3. And it's a great moment, because for every star and superstar's path, there's guys like him that didn't get drafted, that signed a 2-way with the Heat. You're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota playing in the G League. Then he was on the Heat roster when they went to the finals last. Then you're in New Orleans, and then you're looking for a place. The Magic sign you. You're in Osceola playing. You get a 2-way deal, and then they convert it. And how do you not root for stories like that? And then it's a team that he grew up loving, and it's in that moment. And humble as, if you hadn't seen, go back and watch his press conference. You root for guys like that, whether they're on your team or not. You still have the story about it, but it was great. It was great. I want to play the clip. I played this on the bridge. Josh Robbins, who's going to be on with us next segment, asked Jamal Cain this question, which it's a great question. It's a great answer.
Jamal, first of all, how much did you root for the Pistons as a kid? And as humble as you are, how much more special is it that the people who you grew up with and your family are tuned into this series as well for reasons in addition to you?
I mean, growing up, I always played. So me and my granddad, we used to always play NBA 2K, and I would pick the Pistons every time, and I would shoot every time with Chauncey Billups. But I mean, I put some of my friends and family in a tough spot because they've been ride or die Pistons fans. But I mean, it's definitely a special moment, especially going back to Detroit and having my whole family come out to watch me play, like especially in the playoffs. Like, I mean, words can't describe how I feel, honestly.
That's great, right?
That's awesome. Do you think they're wearing like a half Pistons, half Magic jersey with the last name on the back?
No, I think they're all Magic. Yeah, blood is thicker, man.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it's a great moment, and Chris, I've one thought.
Mm-hmm.
As the Magic go to Detroit tomorrow for Game 5. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This iconic scene now resonates with me. Okay.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that? No, Sensei.
Finish him. Yeah. Yeah. Cold-blooded. Yeah. Um, I'm telling I think Detroit knows they're in trouble. This is not one of these, hey, we just fix this, we fix that. Because the only sample size that matters now is the 4 games that's happened in this series. And I think Detroit knows Orlando's better. Can they win tomorrow? Yeah. That's why we play games. But, man, the mental 48 hours for Detroit from the end of last night's game to tomorrow night's game, that's going to be interesting. Interesting. Again, great start for the Magic last night. Looked like, going to blow them out, but it's the NBA. It's playoffs and everything. And then you settled in and muck it up. Got ugly.
Is there a cause for concern for Orlando jumping out to these leads and not being able to hold it?
No, first quarter, again, the NBA is so different. The playoffs are different. The 17-point lead that they blew, but again, they closed on a 9-0 run, so they made the big plays. I'm not so concerned about that. What I'd be a little bit concerned is if tomorrow night's game is similar to game 2, where tight game, third quarter collapse, but I just think the Magic in a different place right now, and Detroit's in a bad place right now, and there's blood in the water. I mean, the Pistons are for the taking tomorrow night. And you can't say, well, they're going back home, they're going to be fine. I don't know, man. Orlando's defense has really, really bothered them. And I just think the Pistons know the Magic are better right now. Got to play the game, got to win. And Jamal Mosley did all that, both in the locker room and then in the media about haven't done anything yet. You just got another game, got to focus on that. That's all the right things to say. But this isn't your typical lucky 8 seed. This is a team now healthy. And again, we'll find out about Franz Wagner. I don't want to speculate. I hope it's not one of those things. We'll sit him out game 5 just to be safe. Let's hope it's nothing serious. But all right, Josh Robbins will join us next. Talk about last night's game more when the Beat of Sports continues.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company.
See what you did here? Like magician.
Yeah. Profession.
Double Shot Tuesday. These are songs with a job or profession in the title. Josh Robbins is very kind to join us throughout the NBA playoffs. He's covered the Magic, was at the game last night. Follow his work and support his work at Joshua B. Robbins. He covers the NBA for The Athletic, has covered the Magic for many, many years. Thank you for doing this. I know you're busy. Why did Orlando win last night? Very basic question, but it wasn't the prettiest game offensively. But why do you believe they ended up winning?
They generated turnovers. They got offensive rebounds. And, oh, by the way, Jamal Cain was great. So they forced Detroit into missing shots and bad miscues and took the fullest advantage of it and earned that win. And playoff wins don't have to be pretty. Sometimes the ugliest victories are the best ones. And they sure control the series right now.
What has surprised you of these first 4 games? Because I've said this, I think you and I have talked about this also. The first 83 games now don't matter, but what has stood out about these 4 games? Because even the first half of game 2, the Magic played well, but what stands out that says this was the team we thought we were going to see back in October?
There's a lot, and I'll try to go quickly. First, it's the ferocity of Orlando's defense, which wasn't always as ferocious as it's been the last 5 games, and I'm including the play-in victory over Charlotte. Then Jalen Duren has been, for the most part, terrible. And that's largely because of Wendell Carter Jr., who has been great. I know it sounds like I'm breaking this down into very simple parts, but I could make a pretty convincing argument that the most valuable player the Magic have had in the series is Carter. Then really Detroit struggles to hit its threes on par with how Orlando struggles to hit its threes. And so that's the kind of series that is right up Orlando's alley. And the Magic have, to their credit, taken full advantage of it and played their hearts out.
Cade Cunningham got his points, but he wasn't efficient last night. He had to take a lot of shots, and then in the second half, almost all the time, they got the switch, and the Magic did, and Cunningham can't guard Paolo. Now, the Magic need Paolo to make a few more shots. He was effective at times, but that's a problem for Cade too, because he can't defend Paolo either.
That's right. It's one of the old truisms in basketball that if you're facing an unbelievable offensive player, and he is an unbelievable offensive player, by the way, a worthy MVP candidate this past year, try to make that person work on defense. Try to force that individual to expend as much energy as possible on defense and possibly get him into some foul trouble. And Cade was flirting with some foul trouble last night. And it was an unpleasant game for him, to say the least.
Let's go to Jamal Cain. It's a great story. I played the clip a couple times of you asking him the question about doing this against Detroit, and he grew up in Detroit. But just the game last night, it was more than the dunk. I mean, he had the big 3. His defense was elite. As you watched him perform last night, and particularly when Franz goes out, what stood out?
I think you put it very well, Mark. And that dunk was an audacious dunk. Sometimes when you score 2 points, those 2 points are not equal to other baskets. And that dunk, which he put Jalen Duren on Jalen Duren's rear end, he fell backward. And Jalen Duren is 270 pounds and one of the best, strongest guys in the league. That shifted the whole momentum in a game that very easily could have continued to possibly teeter the Pistons' way. So that was Jamal Cain said he gets nervous during the games. Sure didn't look nervous on that play. And then the rest of the way, he had some great rebounds, and he drew 2 Pistons offensive fouls that resulted in the 19th and 20th Pistons turnovers of the game when the game remained very much in doubt. So that was the Jamal Cain game in Magic franchise lore. Great performance by him.
I don't know if there's any update. I'm not aware, but the calf of Franz Wagner could become a story here. I don't know if you know anything, and when he left, Kane did a phenomenal job last night. Let's hope it's nothing serious, but it's one to watch now.
Yes, but potential existential problem in this series and in a potential second-round series for Orlando if Franz is hobbled in any way or cannot play. And I'm not suggesting that it's a serious injury. He was going to get an MRI today, and they'll pour over the results. But certainly not good news. That's a tarnishing bit of news for Orlando. Just the whole uncertainty there, because any injury is unwelcome to anyone, of course. And a calf injury is not something you mess with, as the league has seen over the last 2 years, 3, 4 years. And up until that moment, Franz Wagner was probably their best player last night.
Josh, we talk in the 7-game series about how you make adjustments. JB Bickerstaff and staff, what do you think they try to tweak? Because I do think there's a psychological thing going on here as well about how the Magic have done these first 4 games. But what do you think they try to do in Game 5?
There are not a whole lot of buttons for him to push. Someone asked me after the game last night, how do you feel? How do you think the Pistons are feeling right now? And my response was, wow, they sure could use a secondary ball handler and more shooting, by the way. And just like the Magic's shooting problems probably need to be corrected by some roster construction tweaks, Detroit's shooting problems and Detroit's ball handling problems, apart from Cade, need to be addressed in the offseason. So I don't think that Bickerstaff has a lot of buttons to push. Duran does not look like himself. And there's not a whole lot they can do. Having said all that, this series is far, far, far from over. And yes, Orlando is up 3-1 and has deserved to win the 3 games it's won. But all 3 of those victories could have gone the other way. And there's no shame in saying that. Detroit is a good team. They're a 60-win team for a reason. And if there are no problems that Detroit has, aside from this befuddling play from Duran, and who knows, maybe he's hurt, that a few 3-point shots, wide open makes would solve.
You've covered this for a while. I was just going down the black hole of looking back last night. In the East, and I've said this a couple of times, sometimes the 8th seed is filling out a bracket because the conference hadn't been that deep. This is a different type of 8th seed. And what has led to this, though? Because the team that played in Boston with stuff on the line is not the same team that's played the last 5 games. Can you recall anything like a light switch suddenly going on and a team showing up like this that looked like that in Boston?
Maybe in other sports, maybe some NFL teams that struggled to get into the wild card and then went on a Super Bowl run. Mm-hmm. I can think of the NWSL last year, Gotham FC, by the way, that squeaked into the playoffs. But that's now I'm getting pretty far afield. No.
Yeah.
Baseball, but baseball's a different, kind of breed of cat, It's a different kind of sport. What do you think of any? Can you?
No, because the
draw
Heat
anything?
team, the Heat team that was an 8 that got to the final,
Oh, that's a good one.
is the one that comes to mind. But I'm just going back though. The Magic were thought to be a contending team in the East before the season, and they had the up and down year like they had, and then the memory. It has to be the Boston game. You're like, well, that team's just ready to mail it in. And then all of a sudden, the Charlotte game, and now you're like, oh, this is the team. And I commented earlier, and I'm a big body language guy, and you've covered enough press conferences. Jamal Mosley is not immune to the criticism. I mean, he's not failed to hear that. He knows it. And he knows the series is not over. But there's a part of me that looks at Jamal Mosley, and he's like, I told you, I just wanted to get my team. And this is my team. And he knows he's got to win another game of this series. But I just saw somebody last night that's like, yeah, I tried to tell you this. I didn't have my team, and now I do. And I just think it makes it a different 8 seed than some that we saw that just pulled upsets out of their you-know-what, where this is not a typical 8 seed.
I agree with everything you said, and would add that people within the Magic would have been saying that if they could just get their starting 5 on the floor, that starting 5 had been excellent for most of the season. Having said all of that, not everything can be explained away by the injuries.
Yeah.
Not everything. And it's not it's never been a low effort team. That would be a grave exaggeration that would do a disservice to that team, because it would be inaccurate. But it's extraordinarily difficult to play with this level of defense over an extended period of time, particularly in the regular season. It's not realistic for the most part. And for example, the Thunder are a better defensive team than the Magic are, but the Thunder don't have to play as hard to produce those results as the Magic do. That's a really big distinction. And for the Magic to be at their best, partly because they don't have the shooting to carry themselves in these tight games for the most part, they have to play with an almost ridiculous level of defensive effort and physicality that for the most part is very difficult to sustain over 70 games in an 82 game season. And that's part of the beauty of the playoffs, is that it's not only motivating, but the schedule is arrayed in such a way where it permits a team to play this hard this often.
Let me end with this and let you go, because I know you got a lot of stuff traveling today. You comment, I saw
a tweet. Love to stay, actually.
I saw the tweet you put out. You've covered a lot of games at that building and the atmosphere last night. And I commented earlier, I moved here May of '89 before the first year of the Magic, and it used to be an event just to play, even if you got beat by 20. And then the Shaq era happened so quickly, and all of a sudden you're thrust into the spotlight, and playoff games were electric. And you've done enough sports that sometimes sports is a unifier. And maybe the Magic are going to get that feeling if this team can win this series, get to a second series. It hasn't felt that way maybe since '09, but just your thoughts on the atmosphere last night and what is building if this team does get to a second round, because it can be special. That's what sports can do.
I agree with everything you said. And I would say that I've covered in person every single Magic playoff game since the '09 season, which was in the old building. The 2010 season was in the old building, postseason.
Mm-hmm.
And that old building was louder than this one for a whole bunch of reasons: the pricing, the number of restaurants there, the amenities, the structure of the architecture with the suites, kind of interrupting the seating bowl. So that old place was one of the top home court advantages in the league, and one of the top home court advantages I've ever seen in the league. Last night was the most consistently loudest I've heard Kia Center since it opened. So kudos to the fans there. And they could potentially even take it up another gear or two, because
the way that this team plays, it is a gritty team. And that, I think, is the type of team that a fan base can attach to because they play so hard and they play with such physicality.
Please
kudos to the fans last night.
Follow and support Josh Work. He's on extra Twitter at Joshua B. Robbins. He'll be covering the Magic as long as they keep playing, which may be much longer than people had thought. Hey, thanks for hopping on. Travel safe. We'll talk again soon. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Josh Robbins, good insight on the Magic and Pistons. It's a buzz, man. It's cool. It's great.
It's exciting. Again, you've mentioned the rebuilds after rebuilds after rebuilds.
It's 09. It's not disrespecting the playoff run of a couple years ago. It's just when you get into a second round and you get to a third round, and it's fun. And you haven't had that vibe in this town in a long time. I told you, and this is an incredibly small sample size, like minutes, but I was in Salt Lake City this past weekend. The Mammoth, they're playing their first ever playoff game. They played their second last night. But I was downtown for a little bit, and that's all it was. Banners and people walking around with jerseys and everything, and it was just a buzz you could feel and everything. And when your town gets that, it's cool, man. That's what these 7-game series and multiple rounds, that's how sports can help you.
Do you think there's any sort of buzz that's kind of taken away because you have the Jamal Mosley detractors, the Paolo Banchero detractors?
You know what? Where does that play now? I mean, you can hang out in the corner, and if they blow it, you can jump out of the bushes screaming again. But your noise is just that noise. What? The team's up 3-1. They got to win one more game to close it out. You want to scream about that? Who's going to listen to you right now? For what? Come on. So if they lose, turn the volume up and come back out. Mm-hmm. If they win this series and get swept the next round, then they'll be. But right now, no one's paying attention to you. Go sit in the corner and suck your thumb. Who cares? You know? And I'm saying this where a lot of the reasonable criticism was valid of the 83 games they played. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter right now. The only sample size is the 5 games. Charlotte and these 4. That's it. Wow. Game 5 tomorrow night. Have it right here on this station. We come back. A bet here, a bet there. You know, we'll get to that and more coming up on the Beat of Sports. What? Molly? Oh, Dr. Feelgood. Oh,
There it is.
I don't mind the crew. Yeah. Double Shot Tuesday theme. These are songs that have a profession or job in the title.
Also, I feel like it's fitting for our next guest.
Yeah. So I want to play something, then get to our next guest because there are good people in the world. But this happened in the Rays Guardians game last night.
Hit pretty well to left. And gone. Daniel Schneemann, his 4th home run of the year, and it's the Guardians that score first.
Oh, big clank.
No, he's not going to steal that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Well, when you see something wrong has occurred, it's nice to make up for it. And Ryan Bass making up for that Cleveland fan by going out and making friends, and she deserves that baseball.
So a Guardian player hits a home run, and a little girl with a glove looks like she's going to grab the ball, and some jackass adult comes over and basically steals the ball from her, all on camera. And Ryan Bass, who's the reporter for the Rays, who's a good friend, who someday is going to probably host the Today Show because he's great at what he does, and he's a good-looking guy, becomes the hero and brings the ball up to the fan, and he's kind to join us today. You're a hero this morning. Heroes don't have to wear capes. They can wear Rays, quarter vests. How you doing?
First of all, Mark, always appreciate joining you, man, and grateful for our friendship. I need to make you my agent. If you're elevating me to the Today Show,
I'm telling you.
buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So take me through this because where are you? Because you roam the stadium for games, everything. So where are you when this happens? And then take me through what you did.
Yeah. First of all, I just off the top, man, this is all about Evelyn, Theo, Nikki, and their family, and giving them a moment, that I hope little Evelyn will never forget. But yeah, obviously I sit in the camera well, next to the Rays dugout, during games, for my reports and kind of getting ready for some of the hits that I'll do. And, we saw the home run and we heard, Andy Freed, who was filling in on our play-by-play side, and Brian Anderson, our color guy, talking about this guy who basically snagged a baseball away from Evelyn, this little girl. And, my producer, Kevin Patterson, and I were kind of talking, in between innings, and he said, we got to do something here. We got to make this right. And so I went over to the Rays dugout. I asked one of our assistant coaches, Corey Dickerson, for 2 baseballs and trotted out there. I didn't know what was going to come next, but just felt like we needed to put a smile on their faces and make it right. And so, and the reaction obviously is taken off from there. But we're, again, just so grateful that we can create a moment in a memory for Evelyn, Theo, Nikki, and the entire family, and make it right by Rays baseball.
So as you walk up there, are they surprised to see you? And then what did you explain? And was the barbaric adult nearby?
Yeah, that fan was sitting right next to us, as I walked up, and I'm kind of waiting in between the concourse to walk up the stands to hand the baseball. I didn't want to interrupt the game going on. So we did it in between the inning. But, the fan's sitting right there, and he keeps looking back at me, maybe thinking that I'm going to interview him. I have no idea. And then I see the family, and when I walk up and hand the baseball, it was just kind of complete shock. And then, you see Evelyn, just the smile break out and the tears, start flowing. And I felt bad. I went back and I went and gave the mom a hug and Evelyn a hug. And I just said, I want to take a quick little picture so I can remember this. I just wanted to say thank you from Rays baseball. Hope this makes up for it. And it was really a sweet moment. And again, didn't know what would occur after that, but just happy we can do right for little Evelyn and her family.
How old are the kids?
I didn't ask the age.
Can't be more than like 7 or 8, right?
But yeah, I mean, definitely not, too old there. And, you saw Evelyn with the Guardians jersey and, the big sunglasses and the glove, and her little brother, Theo, as well. And, I spoke to the mom. I've been communicating back and forth with her, and she told me, it just meant so much. And she said, I think I'm going to buy them Rays jerseys. We're Guardians fans for life, but I think we've got a second favorite team we'll be rooting for. So again, it just warms my heart that we're able to take something that was kind of tragic in the moment and make it right.
Yeah, and mom posted a wonderful message thanking you and the Rays on social media, which was very kind. So others in the area had to see what was going on. Were you applauded by the Guardians fans around there? Because clearly they knew what happened.
Yeah, the fans around kind of gave a little applause after I handed over the 2 baseballs. Certainly grateful that they were able to, again, like give the family that moment, right? As much as I appreciate all the coverage that's happened and all the praise, like, this isn't about me, right? It's about really being able to make sure that Evelyn had a memory in a moment. And, I'm confident that the Guardians will reach out, and, I've heard there might be something in the works with the family as well. But again, so grateful that we could put a smile on her face and take something that was tragic in the moment and upset, because the little brother, actually, I don't know, this wasn't shown on camera, but Theo, the little brother, went over to the guy who took the home run ball and kind of asked for it back, like, hey, can we have this? And he didn't give it back. So
God, what a jerk!
Listen. Eventually, the mom told me a couple of innings later he ended up giving the baseball over, but obviously the damage had been
too late
done at that point.
Too late. Yeah. Well, it was awesome, and it went viral, and it was great. It was the right thing to do. Good for you. You've done this long enough. You've seen, like, I don't understand the adult that can't understand what it means to a kid, and it's a baseball, and to that kid, it's everything. You're the grown adult. Act like an adult. It's incredible.
One of my favorite things, Mark, when I go to the ballpark every time, is seeing the reactions by little kids, right? When Rays players toss them a ball, or sign a ball, or bring them one in the middle of an inning, right? And those smiles, that lasts, right? And those moments matter so much, and they don't get caught on camera most of the time. They're not what people see, but it happens often. And so, for that fan to take that moment and rob that from that little girl and that family, it struck me. It struck a chord in my heart, and certainly our group. And we wanted to make it right. So I'm really grateful that we could, again, share that moment with them. And I'm happy for Nikki, Evelyn, Theo, and that entire family.
I'll let you run. Let me ask two final ones. The Rays now won 5 straight, keeping pace with the Yankees, who are off to a great start. So give me thoughts on the 5-game win streak, and then what it's been back at the Trop. The crowds have been really good compared to recent years, and, for all the stuff going on. So the 5-game win streak, and what's the Trop been like?
Yeah, look, this is a team that's playing really well right now. And I think when you looked at the roster going into spring training, you really weren't sure. There was a lot of projections that had this team in the cellar of the American League East. And, you just felt there was something different about this group in camp. Everybody talked about the chemistry, camaraderie. And while some of that can be rah-rah and riff-raff stuff, it's legitimate. These guys, they have a role. There's no egos. That's a good pitching staff. That they're dealing with a lot of injuries, and the guys are stepping up. Offensively, they can beat you in many ways. We saw it in the one inning last night. They're down 2-1 after Steven Matz throws a good game. Jonathan Arando, they're comes up and back home with a tie, and then Junior gets a hit. They pinch run their best hitter, one of the best hitters in the game, for Ricky Palacios. He steals a bag, and then Ryan Vilade, who only had 28 plate appearances, coming in second lowest on the team, it has a big RBI single, a guy who platoons. It's just that I feel like those moments encapsulate who this team is. They're really a gritty group that it's fun to watch. And so that's, that I think has really been evident during this win streak. And then the Trop's been great, Mark. Look, it looks better than it ever has before. It's brighter in there because they have only one panel of the roof instead of 2 that they had in previous pats. The new ownership group have really poured a lot of effort into making it an awesome experience. And look, a lot of people can rag on Tropicana Field, and I know it's old. I know it was first opened in 1990. They first had baseball there in 98, but it's got a special charm to it. And I think fans have really realized, what they missed. And look, Mark, you know me, we've both been in Florida for a long time. There's nothing better than walking into 72 degrees when it's 100 plus outside. And so that, combined with the crowds we've seen, the exciting brand of baseball, it's so good to be back at Tropicana Field this evening.
Rays Cleveland tonight, 6:10, as they try to continue the win streak. I know you've been busy. Thanks for hopping on and doing this. We'll catch up again soon. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you always, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
I guarantee he will host the Today Show in the next 10 years. He'll start on weekends, and we'll move him up, and he's got the look, and great thing that he did. And have you seen the clip?
Yeah, and it pisses me off, and it looks exactly like the kind of guy who'll do it.
Exactly.
Prick.
This little girl has the ball. She's blocked it and everything. And how could you walk over and just rip it out of her glove?
How do Guardians fans not just boo the crap out of him?
I don't know. It's just I'll never understand.
Like that would be the only instance I would be okay with people throwing hot dogs at him, throwing beer on him. Like, you don't do that to a little girl.
I don't know. It's like when I was a couple years ago now, we were in Vegas for Big 12 Media Days, and the Olympic basketball team was training there, staying in the same tower as I was at the Bellagio. But to watch the NBA players come out of the elevator area, right? And little kids that have no intent of selling an autograph are putting a sheet of paper out for Steph Curry to sign. And then some jackass with a duffel bag of stuff is like shoving the kid aside. Like, I'm for immediate execution at that moment. Like,
Yeah.
And the guy's got like a ball. He's got bags of pictures and everything. And the kid just wants to get an innocent autograph. And I'll never forget this, even though he broke the Knicks' heart and everything. Tyrese Halliburton got off that elevator, and he moved past every jackass that was trying to do that. And he found like these 3 kids off the side. He pulled them behind the velvet rope and signed and took a picture with them. And even though he broke my heart, I will always respect, because I watched him do that. And it's like, that's a good dude right there, man. That's a good dude. So I just, when I saw that highlight,
People are
like,
so
what a
aggravating.
creep.
Like, it's a baseball. It's a baseball.
How could you not understand what it means to a little child dressed in the team's jersey and with the glove and everything?
If someone does that to my daughter, I'm fighting them.
Attaboy.
I'm fighting them.
Yes. Let your wife bail you out later in jail. Don't worry about it.
Fine. I don't care. I will kick his ass. Don't rip away a baseball from a little girl, man.
Anyway, great move by Ryan. It's gone viral, and he'll probably be in the Today Show this weekend talking about the nice gesture. That'll open up the door, then somebody will bring him in, and I'll be right. He'll thank me for this years from now. Yeah.
Well, he said he wants to bring you on as his agent.
Ryan's a great guy, and he's going to be very, very successful. He is successful now. 11 o'clock hour. We'll get to the college football story with Brandon Sorsby, the quarterback at Texas Tech. But the hour kicks off with the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYJ Orlando, WJR, HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando sports leader, Marc Daniels, Beat of Sports. Chris Vasquez is over there. Magic go up 3-1 in the series, beating the Pistons last night, 94-88. It was an interesting game. In the last 4 minutes and 50 seconds, the two teams combined to go 2 for 18 shooting. The lone Magic field goal was Desmond Bane's bank three. And then Isaiah Stewart put a putback with 3 seconds to go as the clock ran out. But the Magic did it with smothering defense last night, limiting Detroit to 38% shooting, 20% from three. The Pistons had 20 turnovers in the game. Magic had 16 offensive rebounds, 22 for Desmond Bane, 19 for Franz Wagner. We await the MRI in his calf today to see what comes out of that. Jamal Cain was brilliant in 24 minutes. He had 8 points, 9 rebounds for the Magic. And here's the thing about plus minus, Chris, okay? If you watch the game, Jamal Cain is a big reason why the Magic won, right? He's -9 in plus minus, okay? Jalen Suggs was 1 for 13 shooting, 1 of 11 from three, and he was plus 17 in plus minus, right? Make it make sense. Let's make it make sense in this way. Ready? First up, let's go with Spanish on the Jamal Cain dunk last night. Ready? Here we go.
Ahora va a la carga. A ver, de un lado a otro. De norte a sur. Y dejando en el suelo a Duran. Vaya manera de volcarla. Con personalidad, con potencia total. Apareció Jamal Cain.
About that?
Okay.
You want to compare?
Yes.
All right, but you're going to pick it up with Portuguese.
Oh. Certamente modelo, eu não sou daí da turma dos sneakerhead. Exato. Jogou o Jalen Duren lá para Miami.
Wow. No.
You like Spanish better?
Yeah, but honestly, neither of them were like not your typical exciting calls.
Can you tell from the Portuguese one? He's in the studio.
Yeah.
Different, man. It's just different.
Yeah.
If you're there and the crowd reaction, then it's, wow. Yeah. Game 5 of that series tomorrow in Detroit. I think the Magic can win Game 5. I do. I think the Pistons are in big, big trouble. OKC closed out Phoenix 131-122, and Denver stays alive, beating Minnesota 125-113. The NBA playoffs continue tonight. 76ers and Celtics. Boston looks to close that out. Knicks and Hawks in New York. That series even at 2. And the Spurs try to close out the series against Portland at home tonight, leading 3 games to 1. Game 5. If there's a Game 6 for the Magic, that's Friday. Game 7 would be on Sunday. Let's see. What else do I have for you? Yankees beat the Rangers last night. Aaron Judge and Ben Rice homered, becoming the first set of teammates to have 10 home runs and 20 walks before the end of April. Oh, baseball. Rob Thompson fired as manager of the Phillies.
How's that taste, Philly?
Where'd that come from?
I'm a Braves guy.
Wow, that's like a creepy laugh. Don Mattingly's been named the interim manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. It's been a rough start for the Phillies this season. Rookie of the year in the NBA, Cooper Flagg beats out Con Knipple. Lakers say Austin Reeves, questionable, has been upgraded to possibly playing for the Lakers as they try to close out the Rockets tonight. And that's what's happening in the world of sports and some of the headlines out there. We come back in college football. News yesterday about one of the prize quarterbacks, the transfer portal, Brendan Sorsby, who went from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. They gave him a lot of money. And then the news came out that he was entering a facility to deal with gambling addiction. It's an interesting story that's got ripple effects. That and some other college football stuff when our good friend Mike Huguenin will join us to talk some college football next. What is this like for contractors out there? Or, well,
Hey,
handyman?
Need a good handyman.
Need a good handyman. Double Shot Tuesday, songs that have a profession or job in the title. Nice. Hadn't spoken to our next guest in a while. I always enjoy when we do talk some college football. Mike Huguenin is been covering this game a long, long time, and invited Mike to come on and talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Good to hear from you. How you doing?
Doing quite well.
Let me start because after I was texting or emailing you yesterday, the news came out about Brendan Sorsby and the situation with Cincinnati and Texas Tech. I don't think we should be shocked to learn about stories like this, but it does have a ripple effect if his eligibility is gone. Texas Tech's going to be banking on a guy coming back from ACL. They can't go into a spring portal. He's got a situation in Cincinnati. So what's your thoughts on the Sorsby story?
Yeah, if the NCAA follows its rules, his college career is over. He is a highly paid player. Texas Tech brought him in specifically. He was their number one choice out of the portal at quarterback. They have a highly paid roster again, but without Sorsby, their offense was an issue last year. Without Sorsby, it will be again this year, and I think this throws the Big 12 into sort of chaos because I think Texas Tech was the best team in the league going into the summer. Without Sorsby, I don't think they are. I don't think Sorsby is, the best quarterback in college football by any stretch, but his loss would be gigantic for a team that had playoff hopes again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens because, as you said, if they do follow the rules, he would lose eligibility, but I'm sure they'll sue because that's what everybody does. But I wonder, and it doesn't really matter now, to me, it looked like they knew news was coming and kind of got out ahead of this. And, Texas Tech gave the standard release of supporting him. And I'm not saying it's not, I mean, you certainly can support him, but I think they knew stories were coming. It just smelled like that yesterday.
He was at Indiana like 5 years ago. So you wonder if this has been an ongoing concern or if it was a one-time thing that he did it only while he was at Cincinnati because he was hurt. But the reports I read said there were thousands of bets on his phone in the app. So it is the timing. Yeah, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it is interesting. But again, you can't. He supposedly bet on Indiana while he was at Indiana, and that is a huge no-no for the NCAA. I mean, this is the same organization that initially suspended a Virginia Tech player for betting on 6 NBA games for like $5 each for a whole season. It was later reduced to 6, but you can't bet on your own team. And you're right. I'm sure there will be some kind of lawsuit, though I wonder what the plaintiff would say. Well, he did it 5 years ago, but he hasn't done it since. This will be very interesting the next couple of months.
I'm curious your thoughts. NFL draft, we focus on the first round a lot. There's going to be all pro and Hall of Famers that are not first round picks, but of the guys taken early, anything that you take away and think great fit, great pick, transition from college to the pro game. I find it interesting. Carnell Tate, not saying it wasn't a good pick. He's a 4th overall pick. He wasn't their best wide receiver. I don't know any year that he played at Ohio State.
Of the Ohio State guys taken in the first round, he was the one that not that I'm an NFL scout, but he was the one I liked the least. You're right. He was successful in part because teams had to pay so much attention to Jeremiah Smith. Carnell Tate got a lot of single coverages. So I wasn't a huge Carnell Tate fan. I'm a gigantic Caleb Downs fan. I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to be ecstatic that they got this guy. He's not the most elite athlete, but he's exceedingly smart. He's exceedingly smart on the field as well. It's sort of like the coach in the secondary kind of thing. I think at safety, you expect from day one that Caleb Downs will be your starting safety, and in year 3, he becomes an all-pro kind of player. I thought the Giants did well. I thought the Browns did well. I thought the Jets did well. But they're the Browns, Jets, and Giants. And you can make great picks, but still have stinky teams, and that's sort of what I'm wondering is going to happen. I still don't think Cleveland has a quarterback, but I thought the Browns draft was excellent. I think Maui Noah is a great pick for a Harbaugh coach team. David Bailey is an interesting pick if he's fully engaged all the time. But yeah, those teams were picking early because they leak. Their front offices are horrible. So just because they make a good pick in April doesn't mean it's going to pay off in September, October, November.
Mike, what do you think when the Dolphins took Caden Proctor? I just don't know. I mean, yeah, linemen are big, but I'd be concerned about a guy that is that big that tells you how much he loves Krispy Kreme. But what do you think of the Dolphins taking Caden Proctor?
Yeah, the big deal was made. Proctor only allowed 2 sacks. Well, I watched a lot of Alabama the last couple of years, and he may have only allowed 2 sacks, but man, that dude allowed a lot of quarterback pressures. I don't think he can play tackle in the NFL. Maybe he can be a right tackle. I think he fits better at guard, and then he'll be a road grader. But a guy who was sort of sloppy fat in college, I'm not sure that all of a sudden he's not going to be sloppy fat in the pros. I thought that was for a team that needed a lot, and I know they needed offensive line help. I thought the Proctor pick was a little bit underwhelming.
The Bucs took Reuben Bain 4 months ago. People had Reuben Bain going maybe as high as in the top 5. Then people said, "Well, look at the arm measurement." I don't know if that is why maybe he dropped. But what do you make of the Bucs taking Bain, and how do you think he translates to the NFL?
Bain, yeah, the short arms. Well, it surely didn't hurt him in college football. Interesting. Also, they have Kalijah Cansey on the front four for the Bucs. When he came out of Pitt, he's got extremely short arms for a defensive tackle. Well, I don't think the Bucs really care about arm measurement. I think they care more about quick first steps, the ability to make splash plays. I think Cansey and I think Bain can do that. And if you're a Bucs fan, the idea that we got Reuben Bain, our pass rush was anemic last year to the point that they re-signed 97-year-old Jason Pierre-Paul. I think you got to be pretty excited because I think Bain will be, he's not an all-pro, but I think he will be a guy who gets around 10 sacks every single season. I think he's a high motor guy who can make splash plays, and he's not that bad against the run either.
Let me pivot to college football. Let me stick with the Canes. I know over the course of the years and many interviews we talk, are the Canes back? Well, I think Miami last year proved that it's a different Miami team. Give me your thoughts on the buzz back at Miami, the turnaround, and what looks to be a very good roster for the upcoming season on the rebuild at Miami and how you see the Canes program now.
That Cristobal is a great game day coach, but I think his team building ethos, the fact that, okay, we're going to have good line play. We're going to be more physical than the other team. That has paid off. They should always have explosive skill guys. You can, if you just recruit Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, you should be able to find one big play guy every single season at wide receiver, at running back, and at corner. They've done a good job with their NIL. They spread the money around. They're willing to spend. Mensah is an interesting quarterback. I think he'll be fine. They did lose a lot of players defensively, but they've recruited well and they've done well in the portal. Cristobal has done a really nice job. And the idea that he is doing a really nice job, he was known mostly when he was at Oregon. Boy, that guy really can recruit. I would argue that the high school recruiting aspect of being a college football head coach has greatly lessened, but he still knows how to put a roster together. His roster has been a little bit better each year. They get to the title game last year. I'm not sure they're going to go back to the title game, but I think if you're an ACC team, and maybe this is the year Miami actually gets to the ACC title game because he still haven't done that, but Miami. The ACC brought in Miami for a reason, to be really good, to make the ACC nationally relevant. It's finally paying off. and now they just need FSU to escape from the hell they're in to also be there. But if I'm an ACC coach who has to play Miami, okay, maybe I can get Cristobal to make a stupid mistake, but my offensive and defensive linemen are going to be in for a long day because Miami's offensive and defensive linemen are physical, big, and they know how to play.
Mike, the other extreme just may be such a lack of buzz at Florida State, and the financial part of Norvell. They settled on a quarterback that has an awful one-loss record. That may not be the only indicator, but what do you make about the lack of buzz and where FSU's at right now?
They're a middling team in the ACC, and that's embarrassing. The ACC is clearly and distinctly the fourth best of the Big Four, and the fact that FSU has not been involved in the title race the last 2 years, that's embarrassing. I don't think they're going to be involved in the title race this year either. Yeah, I'm not a huge Ashton Daniels fan. The backup is Kevin Sperry, who barely played last year. The defensive line is small. The linebackers aren't that good. The secondary has potential, and the receiving core could be quite good. I'm not sure Ashton Daniels could get them the ball. All new offensive line again. The running backs have some talent, but the roster management by Norvell the last 2 years has been brutal, partly because he's picked the wrong quarterback. I don't think Ashton Daniels is the right quarterback. I mean, he failed at Stanford. He was mediocre at Auburn. If you're trying to make strides, I don't think you can afford to bring in a mediocre quarterback who wasn't even a full-time starter at a team that got its coach fired. So I don't understand what Norvell's doing. I don't think they're going to be very good again. But you wonder what the appetite is to fire him after this season. After, let's say they go 4-8 or 5-7, do they have the appetite to fire him and pay him $50 million to go away? That's going to be interesting to see. One of the bigger storylines, not only in Florida, but that is a big college football story because, again, Florida State should not be this much of a national afterthought.
We watched the quarterback class at the end of last season, people projecting guys like Cade Klubnik be a first-round pick, maybe Garrett Nussmeier, and we ended up seeing a year play itself out, and Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, two quarterbacks chosen. People look at the 27 draft class and say, generational, Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Julian Sayin, Brendan Torsby, maybe not, Lenora Sellers. I don't know, but we'll play a year, and probably some of these guys will not have the type of season that people are projecting. So what's your thoughts as you look at the 27 class and where we may be a year from now?
A sixth class on paper, well, this is a good one. But then the paper got erased and went through the washing machine and came out looking really nasty. And I'm not convinced. I mean, Arch Manning certainly got better as the year progressed last year. How much further does he have to go to reach his ceiling? Dante Moore looked overmatched a couple times last year. Yes, he has all the physical traits. I think it was smart for him to go back. But Oregon has lost its offensive coordinator, Will Stein, who's now the coach at Kentucky. So how's that going to work out? Norris Sellers was really good in 2024. He was extremely mediocre last year. Another guy that has really good athletic traits. Another school that has changed offensive coordinators. Sayin, second year as a starter, and he's got Jeremiah Smith to throw to. You figure that's a big deal. But, yeah, the idea that this class is generational, I think everybody focuses on quarterbacks every year when it comes to the draft. When you're a year out, and I don't see how you can legitimately sit here and think this class is going to be awesome at quarterback, given the way a lot of those dudes played last year. I mean, Sellers, again, really athletic, but I don't know. And Dante Moore's got to play better. Arch Manning looked to be vastly overrated early last season. He did get better. But, if you're a fan hoping, I want my team to reek so they can draft Arch Manning number one, I don't know why you think that.
Let me end with this. You've covered the game when it mattered how many five-star kids you brought in the freshman class. Now, as you touched on, it doesn't matter. You'd like to have them, but it's about the portal and getting guys with experience. What do you think we've learned, if we have, in the 3-4 years of the portal, particularly the last couple of years, and how teams build rosters? And I'm not talking about the money, just the way they're constructing rosters these days. How has the game changed in your view?
The two teams that played for the title last year were all in on the portal. Indiana completely remade its roster in 2 years, each of the last 2 years, and Miami goes to the portal and signs double-digit guys. Then you got Ohio State and Georgia, the sort of the remaining blue bloods. They prefer to sign guys out of high school and supplement with portal guys. I think deep down in their heart of hearts, all coaches would prefer to do that. Bring in a kid that you recruit, hope that he hangs around for 2 years or 3 years and then becomes a star, but that is harder to do. So I think that's one reason Georgia has struggled to their standards the last couple of years. I think Clemson is a perfect example of Dabo wants to be like it was in 2015, and he hasn't adjusted. But yeah, I think the idea that you can't just rely on portal players because Miami, Ruben Bain was a Miami signee. Malachi Tony was a signee out of high school. The two best players on each side of the ball last year for Miami. But I think most coaches with 10 to 12 portal guys, 4 or 5 starters, 5 or 7 backups, and go from there with the hope that high school recruiting has been good enough to provide you with a baseline of talent and guys who are willing to stick around and not just chase the buck. And yeah, I'll be honest, if I was a college student, the idea of chasing $1 million contracts, man, I'm all for that. If that school is going to give me $250,000 more than the school I'm at, I'm out of here the next day. But I think the longer we go in the portal era, more kids will realize maybe the cliche, the grass maybe isn't greener there. Yeah, they might pay me more, but the team isn't nearly as good, and I'm not going to get the same kind of coaching. But it's still going to take a few years to get there. But yeah, college coach job has changed 180 degrees in the last 6 or 7 years.
Good stuff, Mike. Thank you so much. We'll talk again. I appreciate it.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, man.
We come back on the mark, off the mark next. What?
What? It was a request.
The theme of Double Shot Tuesday is songs that have a job or profession in the title.
Does it not?
Well, guess what job just opened up?
Who doesn't love some Bob Marley and the Wailers?
By the way, your wife's not mad at me, is she?
No.
I didn't want her to think that I was critical of her. It was your choice of when you played it.
I told her I'd open the show with it. So I got to follow through. I'm a man of my word, Mark.
Yeah. Let's get to on the mark, off the mark.
It's a Tuesday staple on the beat of sports. On the mark, off the mark. Presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Bowegan's, recrafting perceptions.
All right. On the mark, off the mark here. Start things off with the Orlando Magic. They're up 3-1 after a strong defensive performance on Monday night. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not play the highlight of the night.
Here's Jamal Cain.
Oh! Over thing a third. Are you kidding me? Oh my! He just launched through the air and he yammed it. I am shocked. Just stunned.
Then jam it, he yammed it.
Jake and Jeff got to get excited.
Oh, that was a great call.
That was good.
They held the Pistons to under 40% shooting from the field, including just 20% from deep. The Magic will look to close out the series Wednesday night in Detroit.
Sweet delay.
Should that happen, I think Magic fans,
In the show.
even those who have been heavily critical of Jamal Mosley and Paolo Banchero, will be going all in on this team going into round 2. Of course, fans are holding their breath for the health of Franz Wagner, who's undergoing an MRI on an injured calf today. That being said, would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that should Franz have a clean MRI, a fully healthy Magic team moving forward in these playoffs would be the worst case scenario for management and fans, because it would create an unrealistic expectation going into next year that this team will be the same dominant, healthy team we expected this year.
I think you're off the mark. You make it out like if the team lost in game 7 of the finals, you got a clean house. Listen, the body of work over regular season is that body of work. The playoffs are different. Now, if you ask me today, would it be dangerous to say run it all back and assume health? Absolutely. And as far as the Magic go, you have to still evaluate. They have to be a better shooting team. And offensively, it's not again, last night's game was brutal offensively for both teams. But this ownership, this management, if this team got to the conference finals or to the NBA finals, I don't think they would make a change. Narrative matters, but meaning how we get through the journey matters. But yeah, I think it would change.
I do think a conference finals appearance is probably going to be the least that Jamal Mosley has to make in order for him to keep his job. That's just my opinion. The deadline for college basketball players to enter the NBA draft was April 26th. Just 5 years ago, 363 players declared for the draft. That was the most that we've seen. Last year, just 106 players declared. And this year, it's down to 71 players who have entered their names in the NBA draft. That's the lowest number of entrants since 2003. NIL is keeping players in college longer, so because of that...
You realize if there was a third round, there's not enough players to get drafted.
Yeah.
And by the way, if 71 entered and you don't get drafted,
you
suck.
NIL is keeping players in college longer, so because of that, would I be on the mark or off the mark for thinking that the NBA will look to change the rule once again to allow players to skip college and head directly to the NBA in order to try and increase the amount of entrants into the NBA draft?
Off the mark. I don't think the NBA views it as a problem.
Really?
Nope.
Why?
This year's a great draft. Doesn't mean next year's going to be a great draft. This year's a great draft. Players that are using the money to stay in college helps their development, which I think the NBA likes. It's free development for them. You're going to have your share of special freshmen every year, but I think the NBA believes they're getting a better product. And now the shift is you're taking top European players, like the Gators just signed a freak frontline guy who's going to come here and play high-level college basketball better than where he was playing in Europe, even though he's been a pro for 3 years. And if he's that good to enter the NBA draft, then they're going to get a better product than they were getting if he just skipped. And the money is so good. I mean, there is a European invasion like the Beatles that's happening in college basketball where the elite 16, 17, 18-year-old player now over there is playing in their pro league, second, third division, and is seeing the money opportunities instead of staying in Europe for the next big contract. It's to come to America where now you can make 6, 7 figures and then get the pad to the NBA. Nothing's changing.
Okay.
Florida's front line next year will rival bad NBA team front lines. It's that good, Florida's front line next year.
So you're saying championship or bust in Gainesville?
I'm telling you that they are runaway number one. I don't care what. I mean, Michigan added Mustafa Cham is good, but I think Florida is a runaway number one preseason.
All right. We got a lot to unpack regarding the Brendan Sorsby situation. You just talked to Mike Huguenin. First, it was reported that he was taking an immediate and indefinite leave of absence for a gambling addiction. Pete Nakos at
Dude was making $1 and $2.50 pitch bets, gambling the next pitch.
And Pete Nakos also confirmed that he placed bets on Indiana games while at school in Indiana during the 2022 season. You just mentioned the baseball bets. And then, of course, now he's got the $1 million lawsuit that he's looking to get dismissed against him, put on by Cincinnati, who feels that he violated his NIL deal with them. So a lot going on with Brendan Sorsby here, but would I be on the mark or off the mark for thinking that because of the bets he made while at Indiana, Sorsby's playing days, at least in American football, are done?
In American football?
In American football. So you can go CFL, but UFL, NFL, done. College football.
I don't know about that. I disagree. By rule, he's lost his eligibility for college football, but there's always a court that he goes seek to find. And the ripple effect, and something we'll ask Richard Hill later this week, is does Texas Tech have a case against him? Does Cincinnati have a case against him? What did Cincinnati know? And who knows what legally may lie ahead. But I don't know what prevents him of entering the supplemental draft. And before you say, well, nobody would touch him, I don't know. One, we're a forgiving society. We give people second chances. And he's not lack of talent. So I don't know if I'd say he'll never snap in American football.
We tend to forgive the more talented players when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
Is he talented enough to be forgiven and given an opportunity?
Maybe. I mean, I thought Brendan Sorsby was good. I didn't think he was elite. Texas Tech paid him a lot of money because they chose to pay him a lot of money, and he probably would have put up good numbers because the offense that they have there. But all it takes is one team to give him a chance. And
I'm not
speaking for Mike Rapoli in the UFL, but it seems like that wouldn't be a bad place if he had an opportunity next year to play. But we'll see. I'm not convinced that he doesn't play college football this year because just go find a judge.
Absolutely ridiculous. All right, to the NFL. Multiple times, most recently on NFL Draft Day, it was reported that George Pickens had signed his franchise tender with the Dallas Cowboys. As of Monday, and I believe as of today, he still has not yet signed. And Adam Schefter explained the situation on the Pat McAfee show on Monday.
We reported he is signing, not that he had signed, and the plan is him to sign. I'm just telling you, so I checked in this morning, and he has not yet signed it, as Todd Archer pointed out. Not signed. I checked in and was told, and I can read you the text. Basically, it says, it was draft weekend, signing the tag immediately wasn't first thing on his mind.
I love this guy.
Got him.
That's the wild card.
I
love
kind
of GP football.
All right, we appreciate the hell out of you.
Hold on. Let me read the text right here. I think we're good on milk, but if you want to pick up some fruit, go ahead. That was my text.
Not to ride the fence, but I can see both sides of the situation, that being George Pickens' side of things as well as the Cowboys side of things. But with all that, would I be on the mark or off the mark for believing that George Pickens will either sign a long-term deal or be traded, but he will not play this year under the franchise tag?
Well, I guess I'll agree because I think the Cowboys will get a deal with him. I don't think he's going to be traded. We'll get a deal done. Who cares in April? Whatever.
Hey, we're fast approaching May.
No, I
And
understand, but
what do you like to say? Life comes at you fast. So before you know it, it's going to be July.
It does. And like I said, when Odell Beckham Jr. catches 146 passes for 16 touchdowns as a Giant this year, then you'll regret not signing him.
Yeah, on the mark, off the mark.
I'm back. Put a wrap on the Tuesday show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends. Ooh.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Chris picking on Met ticket sales.
I just pointed out a fun fact.
You can get tickets quite cheap. You know what the Mets also did about their tickets? The Mets held back general ticket sales in the months of June, July, and August. Why? Because they wanted to incorporate dynamic pricing, thinking the season was going to go so well that they could jack up the price for series. How's that going?
Yeah, suck on that.
And apparently Alex Cora was offered the Phillies managerial job after they fired Rob Thompson, but turned it down, and that's why they gave it to Don Mattingly on an interim basis, but they did reach out to Cora. Maybe he's holding out for the Met job. Maybe he wants some Burrito Supremes.
Crunchwrap Supreme, man.
Yeah.
Love that Crunchwrap Supreme.
For UCF fans, 6 o'clock tonight, it's a spring football edition of Night Talk with Scott Frost. He'll be on the first half hour of the show, Terry Mahajer the second half hour. We're at Ale House at Waterford Lakes. You want to come on down and hang out with us for a little spring football show. There is no podcast of today's show because the equipment isn't properly doing its function, but there is a stream.
Yes, you can go on YouTube, go back on the stream.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, you can watch the show from the beginning on our YouTube page, but the audio portion will not be up to date, not because Chris forgot, but because we get a little technical issue that I'm sure engineering will be jumping on top of in the next month or two.
I did my thing. I reported it to who I needed to report it to.
He yelled at the engineer, but yeah.
That's right.
Have a good day, Chris.
You too, Mark.
We'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday edition of the Beat of Sports.